And all right out there, folks. Hope you're all well. Welcome along to another episode of 420 News, guys. It's Monday. Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you survived it. I did. You might have seen a post there yesterday from Dublin where I was partaking in a recording of a show. So that's going to be airing in April or March, something like that. So I'm just going to shut up about it now because it'll be a while yet before it'll be on TV. But it'll be an interesting one. I wasn't the person I was expecting to be sitting across the table from. I was hoping to have a bit more of an engaged debate with a person, but I had a lot more in common with the person I was sitting across than I would have thought I was going to have. I'll say that anyway. So yeah, it was a very interesting conversation. So I look forward to when it actually does get aired in March, April, maybe even May. um, so, guys, as you know, if you want to support the show and the efforts for cannabis legalization in Ireland, you can sign up to the patreon.com/Martin's World, and all the finances there that will be collected be used to rent out a hub to bring together the cannabis activists in Cork and across Ireland there so we can better organise ourselves and get educated and socialise and all of that fun stuff that we should be doing. And also, if you want to make donations through Bitcoin, you can do so up at martinsworld.ie. So, on with the show, guys. The first bit of news today is a study. And it's an unlikely study, actually. It's probably one that you aren't expecting to be coming, but here it is. Cannabis-derived cannabidiol and nanoselenium improve the gut barrier function and affect bacterial enzyme activity in chickens subjected to C. perfringens challenge. So basically, this is a bacteria that it's a natural bacteria in the gut of chickens. But it can cause problems, especially in the intensive farms that are where chickens are commonly raised. But when you go to the shop, you don't buy a free range chicken. If you're just buying whatever chicken is there, kind of nice and cheap, these are the kind of chickens you're going to be getting, and they do get challenged by the natural bacteria that build up because they're re-ingesting it from the other chickens all around them, and it's a nightmare. It's horrible. So make sure you buy what do they call it? Cruelty free food. Get free range chickens and all that. But basically, what they found in this study, anyway, is that the cannabis extracts, the cannabidiol, it was effective in helping the chickens kind of reduce the mortality and stuff because when the chickens get infected with this, it can be a problem for the farms. And a big problem there on the farms is that they have to use a lot of antibiotics. So I don't know if you know out there, guys, but a little known fact probably is that a lot of more than 50% of the antibiotics consumed are consumed by animals. So more than 50%. I think it's actually up there somewhere in 70%, maybe possibly, of antibiotics given out are given to actual animals, with the other 30% probably given to humans. And a lot of that in these intensive factory farms too. And the Clostridium, this bacteria that is infecting them, it's a spore-forming gram-positive bacteria, and it's found in many environmental sources as well as the intestines of humans and animals, and it's commonly found on raw meat and poultry. So the conclusion of the study, which is the kind of the most important part of it, like just unless you really want to get into the finer details of how they conducted the study and all this stuff, but in the conclusion of the study, what they found is this study provided evidence that broilers, that's the type of chicken, may be infected with Clostridium perfringens with no clinical manifestations, a condition that is potentially hazardous due to the possible pathogen transfer to the food chain. Herein, we showed for the first time that in a chicken model, that CBD and nanoselenium may be able to modulate the response of chickens to the Clostridium infection, which may allow time for effective intervention. The beneficial effect of both agents on host physiology was manifested in a support of gut barrier function through increased expression of genes controlling gut integrity. CBD and nanoselenium promoted shifts in bacterial enzyme extracellular activity to increase in energy uptake in challenged chickens. So challenged chickens is referring to them being challenged by the bacteria. Um, and these two agents did not exhibit an opposite effect on mediating the host response to infection. Not no negative effects observed. It's a kind of a very good one, isn't it? Really. And collectively, these findings indicate that understanding the action mechanisms of CBD and nanoselenium is of great interest for the development of preventative strategies in N- NE in broilers. So the oh geez, the NE, what's that? Nano enteric, something enteric. But yeah, this is a good thing to find anyway. That's the short of it. Um, Basically, I would love to find out actually if you would find traces of CBD there in the chicken afterwards, or even in the egg. Actually, I wonder if you were to be feeding the animals hemp seeds and hemp oils, things like these kind of sources, would they actually have an increase in the nutrient profile of that meat? Um, be very interesting to see if it does. I know that if you feed your chickens flaxseed, if you supplement their diet with flaxseed, you can improve the omega 3 profile of your eggs. So you can increase the omega 3 in your eggs by feeding your chickens a supplement of flax seeds. So I wonder what the potential is there if we were to be giving them cannabis, CBD enriched eggs. But look, any intervention there that can get us away from these deadly bloody antibiotics, but that we be giving to the animals is a positive one. And we really need to end this prohibition around cannabis so more studies can be done. I can imagine it going to your professor there in College of Cork and saying, "Oh, I want to give chickens cannabis." What they'd be looking at you, be kind of, what do you mean you want to give chickens cannabis? Like the stigma that's there. It's obviously not there for these students, but I'd imagine it's a big stigma here in Ireland still for researchers to want to examine this. Maybe not so much now it's CBD, but I'd imagine they'd be talking like, say here it says cannabis derived. I'd bet you if it was an Irish study, they would say hemp derived, because they don't want you to think it's coming from cannabis, because they want you to think the cannabis is this evil drug. So anyway, guys, and look, viewers, the discretion, guys. I'm going to give you a 10-second warning on this. Look away if you're at all squeamish. Okay, so 5 seconds, and I'm going to quickly transition this over to show you what it looks like when a chicken is their insides. So it's this is a stomach of a chicken, and what you see kind of in the center there is where it's all inflamed, and they have necrosis, necrotic necrosis. Geez, I'm getting all tongue tied there on that. I can't even read the writing actually here in the picture. So apologies on that. But the yellow what you see up there, that's actually the Clostridium that's grown in there, and that came from a chicken that died before it was actually reached a harvestable age. So even if that chicken was at a harvestable age, they would have just removed the insides, and that would have been fine. But no, the chicken died before it could be harvested. So sadly, yeah, I'm gonna get that off the screen now because I don't want to disgust any of you out there. So on to nicer things, guys. Christmas, it's almost here. Is it less than 4 weeks now to Christmas? Geez, I lost count of how far away it actually is. All I know is it's getting closer, and I really need to get my shopping done. And I'd imagine there's a lot of other fellas out there as well like that. Um, but there was a good article over there on Forbes magazine and talking about the cannabis industry and that they expect a green Christmas. And this is an American magazine, I suppose, referring to the color of their cash. It's green, and also cannabis. Um, so what they're referring to here is that a lot of the states now where cannabis is legal, they're opening up now. The gift giving that's going on at Christmas time, a lot more people are getting the gift of cannabis under the tree. I know for myself, my own experience, I've gotten bongs, I've gotten vaporizers, I've gotten a couple of gifts like that for Christmas. But no, sadly, I've never had a bouquet of cannabis under the Christmas tree. It'd be the one time I'd actually be happy to get a bouquet of flowers. Hint, hint there to anybody looking to buy me a Christmas gift. um, but yeah, while here we are in Ireland, we're criminalising people over in America now. They're gearing up for the festive season. where cannabis consumers can partake in the festive giving and share gifts of cannabis, and it's not illegal then for them to do it. Thank God for that. So hopefully, in time to come, maybe next year or the year after, we'll be able to report positive news that finally in Cork people are getting cannabis as gifts for Christmas because I've often seen people getting a bottle of whiskey. So what's wrong with giving a person like some of this guy's stuff? This next guy, Tyson. Mike Tyson, he's making today's news because if you don't know, if you're living under a rock somewhere, Mike Tyson came out of a 15-year retirement recently at 54 years of age, I believe Mike Tyson is, and he got back into the ring. Absolutely amazing stuff. It was a great fight. I went to sleep early Saturday night because I had to be up Sunday to just head up to Dublin to do that recording. So I didn't actually get to watch the fight until earlier this morning, and it was an incredible fight. I really enjoyed it. In fairness, so yeah, 54 years of age, and a man who says that he can smoke up to $40,000 worth of cannabis a month. That's a lot of cannabis to be smoking. You would think like with that amount of cannabis and with how bad it actually is for you guys, because cannabis isn't a bad drug and it's really bad for you. And no, actually, this guy got into the ring and fought an amazing fight. He went 8 2-minute rounds at 54 years of age, smoking an exorbitant amount of cannabis every day. Absolutely ridiculous. I had the pleasure of actually trying some of his cannabis. I would pop some of it up here for you to see. But where is that transition gone? Sorry, guys. There we go. No, that's not it. There we go. So there's his weed. He's a couple of different breeds there. The one I got are a couple of different strains. They're not dogs. A couple of different strains of cannabis there. The one I got to try was the center one. The indica was the toad, and it was sent over from America. Not to me, but a friend of mine received it as a gift, and he was kind enough to share it with me. And it was yeah, it was nice. Do you know what? It was more. It was pure marketing, like, do you know what I mean? It's Tyson's weed, like, come on, it's Tyson's. That was the pure thing about it. It was the fact you were smoking some of Tyson's weed, so that was where the real enjoyment was in it. It was nice. There was other weed that he got sent over too that was probably a bit nicer, but still, it was Tyson's weed. When are you going to get the chance to smoke some of Tyson's weed? Here he is, the man himself. I'm not too sure. Can you hear this out there? I hope you can't actually, because I'm kind of talking over it, and there's nothing really to hear. It's just watching a 54-year-old cannabis smoker throwing down in what is one hell of a fight. Like it was really enjoyable to see. Roy Jones Jr. did great as well. He did good not to get knocked out because he was in danger there. Some of those body shots that Tyson landed were absolutely vicious, vicious altogether. But an incredible feat for a 54-year-old cannabis smoking man. You would think that he would be at home eating potato chips or crisps and playing some PlayStation, as the propagandists out there and the prohibitionists, all of those liars would lead you to believe about cannabis smokers that we're lazy, we're unmotivated. Cannabis is a gateway drug. Gateway drug. This man just jumped back in the ring, and he did it actually after smoking cannabis. So he admitted afterwards in a press conference that he actually smoked cannabis before the fight. So not only was he smoking it every day, he smoked it before the fight, and he smoked it all the time throughout his training camp. Happy days. Like I done it myself. In fairness, I done a bit of Thai boxing, and two of my fights I had a smoke beforehand. Not right before the fight. Maybe about 4 or 5 hours before the fight. But not right before the fight. I think he might have got me on that one. I don't know how close to the fight Tyson had a smoke, but like for me, about 4 or 5 hours was enough. And it was just enough as well to complement the coffee that I was drinking too. But yeah, it's certainly it gets you into the zone. It helps you get into the zone a bit more. Is it a performance enhancing drug though? I don't think is it. I don't know. It enhances your ability to perform, I suppose, and that it helps you get into the flow more. So you could argue that it is a performance enhancing drug in certain regards. Does it make you hit harder? No. Does it make you move faster? No, it doesn't do any of those things. But in mentally, there's certainly an assistance there from cannabis mentally, and it gets you into that zone mentally. So a couple of comments there from Tyson is that yeah, he says that he smoked every day and that he never stopped smoking throughout his training camp. And when he was asked did he smoke right before the fight, he says absolutely yes. He said that the reefer doesn't really affect his performance. It's just who I am. It has no effect on me from a negative standpoint. It's just what I do, what I am, and how I'm going to die. There's no explanation, there's no beginning, there's no end. Sounds like Tyson, yeah. But does marijuana numb the pain? He says that one can feel from taking punches. No, it just numbs me. It doesn't numb the pain, he answered. And yes, if you watch the broadcast, you know well that marijuana was something of a theme in this promotion. And that's right, actually. Tyson made no secret that he's pro weed. He talks about it all the time. He has a bloody Tyson's ranch. Like, he marketed weed as a product, and that he said he has taken the venom toad, which he's referring to there as the DMT toad, there, the 5-MeO DMT, the Bufo alferus frog. So yeah, he's no stranger to these conversations, and yeah, he's also a major sponsor of the show was Weed Maps. So if you don't know who Weed Maps are, guys, if you're ever visiting Spain, I highly recommend it to get it. It's a good map, a good app to have on your side there if you want to see where all the local cannabis clubs are in Spain. So I'm not too sure. Do they have places anywhere else around Europe? Possibly they probably do Holland actually. But as far as I know, it's a good one for Spain anyway for finding some of the local clubs. So I just threw up an old photo there. As you might have missed it in the background but for me, as soon as I seen weed, it's just like, oh, weed. So Weed Maps. Check them out, guys. They're a cool it's a cool app to have if you're on the hunt for cannabis in a country where it's if it's somewhat tolerated. So on other news, guys, other people fighting and not in a ring. And sadly, it's not a full-grown man either fighting. It's a very young child who sadly is battling cancer. And her name is Lauren McGrath, and she was just 3 years old when she was diagnosed with leukemia. And 11 years later, she has battled cancer 3 times. And she's undergone bone marrow transplant, countless bouts of radiotherapy and chemotherapy. And last year she lost her leg to a disease after an aggressive tumour was discovered behind her knee. The 14-year-old now, who lives in County Limerick with her mother, father and brother, also developed a rare form of epilepsy 5 years ago during her second battle with leukemia, and could suffer up to 25 seizures a day without medication, further complicating her recovery. When Lauren complained of a lump behind her knee, the family initially thought it was from the use of a wheelchair, which she must use as her epilepsy makes it unsafe for her to walk, as she risks collapsing at any time of the day. Despite being on tablets to help counteract the seizures, she still suffers up to 6 or 7 seizures a day. But they diagnosed a very aggressive tumour, and her father Niall told the Irish Post they had to make a choice. So the family were forced to make the decision to amputate the leg, as the tumour was wrapped around the nerves. The surgery would likely leave her without the use of her limbs from the knee down, and there was a chance the cancer could return. It took 3 days to pluck up the courage to look her in the eye and say, "You're going to lose your leg to save your life," Niall said. But she looked at me and she said, "I can do it, Dad." Jeez. This is the hard stuff to report on. Fucking kids. In the last 5 years, the McGrath family said that the doctors have tried everything, absolutely everything, to treat their daughter's epilepsy, but nothing worked. But there is one drug which they haven't been able to try, the antibiotics, a cannabis-based medication available in Ireland, which has been proven to be effective on Lauren's type of epilepsy. But despite being prescribed the medication by their consultant neurologist, the McGraths have been refused free access to the life-changing drug time and time again. Epidiolex doesn't contain THC, Niall says. There's no psychoactive element. You don't need a license for it. You can get it with a prescription, but the HSE will not list it in their registered medicines so that it can be reimbursed for it through the normal medications thing. It costs €1,200 a month, and you can't get reimbursed for it. Even though Lauren is a cancer patient, she has a medical card, and she's on the long-term illness scheme. We've been turned down every step of the way, and we're at the end of the road now, I'll admit it. Like, this discrimination, just because of the choice of medicine that they want, that they're refusing to pay for it, putting an obstacle in the way that doesn't really need to be there. Without the medication, which could drastically reduce Lauren's seizures, she will not be able to use prosthetic leg currently being molded for her. She needs to be able to do the exercises herself, but with the average of 7 seizures a day, it's simply too dangerous for her to walk. Jeez. Lauren's only chance to be able to walk is to gain access to the medication, which has the potential to drastically reduce her seizures. That's the epidiolecs they're reporting they are. And that's not even the best one out there, to be fair. It's probably the most high profile one in regards of where it's coming from. But epidiolecs, it's good, but it's still, it's probably not the best. But you know, I'm just trying to refocus my mind here and get this report done for you guys. So they keep kicking the can down the road for the family, but they've only another few months where they can get the orthopedic leg sorted. Otherwise, it's too late for Lauren. And Lauren's an extremely high risk. She's in the category where you could just stop breathing in your sleep. It would be a massive seizure. The brain just shuts off in your sleep and you stop breathing. The sheer amount of seizures she suffers every day means Lauren's cannot properly learn and has fallen far behind at school. She's a great kid, but she's way behind, Niall said. She'll never do her leaving cert or intercert. She still goes to school just for the social side to mix with her own age, even though she'd be way behind them. This is her only chance. We need to try epidiolecs. Without it, she'll never be able to walk or to get an education, but it's €1,200 per dose, which would last 3 or 4 weeks, and they just keep telling us no. Our pharmacist was flabbergasted when they turned Lauren down twice under the long-term illness scheme. She has patients coming to her with medication worth €10,000 a month, a fraction of what Lauren's needs, and there's no issues with those being reimbursed. But it seems with cannabis oil, there's a problem. What's that? That's discrimination, guys. We need to stand up against discrimination in our society. Epidiolecs is available under the NHS. You can get it in England. So if you cross the border up north, you can get it. That's discrimination. You can even get it in the north. A frustrated Niall revealed they're supplying it there, but not down here. Despite everything, not giving up is not a hope. Despite everything, Niall is not giving up. Hope for proper treatment for his daughter. He has appeared on the radio and in the newspaper to tell Lauren's story. He has approached multiple politicians to plead for help, but to no avail. These politicians, they've no compassion at all. Jeez, man, how in the name of God can you ignore this if you're a politician out there? Stephen Donnelly, man, hang your head in shame. Honestly, go take a long walk off a short pier, man, with a lot of rocks in your pocket, because you're a useless cretin, man. Honestly, like, why aren't you doing something? Ah. So Thurles TD Jackie Cahill has taken on Lauren's case, and though his help, and through his help, the family have been told there may be another medicine which could help Lauren, which McGrath will learn about in the consultation with their neurologist today. So they've since learned about this. I don't know the outcome of this. This article is coming from Saturday, I believe, or possibly even Friday. We've had good help from Jackie Cahill. He's been brilliant, Niall says, but I first tried my local minister, Fine Gael, Patrick O'Donovan in Newcastle West. Fine Gael, guys, he said he would do all these things, but I heard very little from him afterwards. That's because Fine Gael, they can't do nothing. The party silences them. As soon as they mention cannabis at all, the party's like, guys, shut up. You can't mention this. Honestly, like, they're party people. I know he claims to represent these constituents, but the constituents come second. Fine Gael comes first, and you know, when it comes to cannabis, like, they're going to put you at the end of a very, very long stick. He said, yeah, after 3 or 4 calls, messages left, not returning my calls, he just gave up. That was the dad of young Aaron. But since Jackie Cahill has took the case, I've had Sinn Féin representatives ring me, I've had independent TDs call me, I've had nothing but from O'Donovan. O'Donovan, come on, man, where are you? You're the Minister for Health, man. Appalling, carry on. Jeez, sorry, get my thingy a kick. I might try to readjust it. Looks good. It's a black hole. We throw money into it, but there's nothing changes. The staff within the HSE, however, are amazing. That's my experience too. Anytime I've been in hospital, the staff there are amazing. It's the guys at the top. They're ruining the service. You could almost be. I wouldn't blame people for being a conspiracy theorist around the idea that the politicians have been driving our public health service into the ground in order to prop up the private health system. But you wouldn't blame people for thinking that really when you see what they're actually doing. The amazing staff and the effort that they're really putting into they look after the patients up there, but sadly they're limited in what they can do because of bureaucracy and just a lack of staff, a lack of just top heavy service. He says that the people on the ground are brilliant. He said, you couldn't fault the doctors, nurses, catering staff. We've spent time in hospital over the last 12 years and they've all been brilliant. Lauren was even invited to turn on the lights last week in the regional and to cut the ribbon on the new children's play area. As the McGrath family can get ready for Christmas, their biggest hope for the new year is that their daughter will be given access to the medication that she desperately needs. Jeez. Take a second there. And just give them their fucking Christmas wish, Donnelly. Do something about it, man. And there's another mum who makes the news. Fuck, guys. This stuff is just hard to report on. Um, no stranger to the 420 news. Fair to me, guys. And she was in the news over the weekend, highlighting the fact that the health service there, that they're basically, when the restrictions end, or whatever they mean by that, so they haven't indicated what level, but they're going to start making the patients travel for their medicine again. Like, there's some show the clowns up there. What are they doing at all? Like, what kind of people do we have in our country elected? They're going to make patients risk their lives just after a deadly virus, a pandemic, a global pandemic that's seen the world just change how it operates in a drastic way. And they're going to expect these people now to, again, to get on a plane, to get into these small confined places, to go through Schiphol Airport, which is an international hub, and an incredibly high risk area too if you're to travel through it. And they want the patients to go over there. So Vera or Paul, whichever one of them goes to get the medication, they risk contracting that virus, and they risk bringing it back to Ava, who's one of these people we talk about, the need to protect, the vulnerable groups out there, the group of people who, if they contract it, they're going to be the most devastated by it. And they're going to make them travel again. Like, that, like, the sadness has quickly shifted to anger, because I'm getting really angry now again, just thinking about the fact of what they're going to make these people do again. Like, that's one thing, like, they're not paying for the medication, but it's another thing they're making them travel. Like, guys, this is just so wrong on so many levels, like how they're allowed to discriminate against people just because of cannabis. If you have anything at all to do with cannabis, they're going to discriminate against you. Whether you possess it illegally, or whether you want to use it medicinally in a legal form, they're going to discriminate against you any opportunity they can. Absolutely ridiculous. The stuff that's going on in the UK there at the moment, where they're giving out the can card now. It's a great idea, great initiative, but still, sadly, it's not the right way forward at all. You're still discriminating against cannabis patients, because you're now saying, well, you need this card because the drug you have is complicated and you have to explain yourself to the guards, or to the UK police over there, or to the Northern Irish police too, because apparently it applies up there too. So that's just straight up discrimination, because if I've benzos, if I've prescribed benzos and I'm going down the road with my prescription in my pocket, I don't need to prove that. It's going to have my name on it, I suppose. For one, it's going to be labeled onto it, the sticker that comes with prescriptions. But that's it. Like I don't have a requirement to have a card or to explain why I have that particular medicine. But yet we do it for cannabis patients. Why are we allowing them to discriminate against us, guys? Against cannabis consumers, against the cannabis community, against the cannabis patients. We allow them to do it. We allow them to walk all over us and discriminate against us every opportunity they get. And it's just wrong. And we even do it to ourselves too. When we have conversations around like, oh, if we legalize cannabis, oh, we should be only allowed to have 6 plants because anybody who grows seven is going to be a bad person. Like that's silly and discriminatory, because when you look at a person who brews alcohol, do they ever consult around, oh, well, you should only be able to brew a month's worth of alcohol? And they never consult about that. There's no consult around that at all. It's just you can't sell alcohol without a license. Obviously, they do have a limit there as to how much alcohol you can possess, but I think you need a big factory, or a big shed anyway, at least a massive farmer's shed, before you probably would go anywhere near to that limit. So we shouldn't allow them to discriminate against us. This, if they legalize cannabis and they now have cannabis, like you can only grow 4 plants or 6 plants, but if you grow seven, you're illegal again. You're breaking the law again. And what if you want to grow 7 plants? Like, why can't you grow 7 plants? Why can't you grow 10 plants if you want to grow 10 plants? It's discrimination, is what they're doing. They're trying to imply that if you grow 7 or 10 plants, that you must be selling it because you must be a drug dealer. They're discriminating against you. They're implying that you're of a poor character, that you're going to start selling unlicensed products should there be an avenue there to sell it in a licensed way. That's discrimination. So onwards we go, guys. And in other news, there in Ireland, Northern Ireland, apologies, is the Northern Ireland Public Health Agency above there. They made some recommendations there. They actually gave out a warning to patients above there. Um, the Public Health Authority has said that it has been alerting organisations on the ground to the issue of vaping of a liquid form of cannabis through the drug and alcohol monitoring and information systems. That's it. That's all that they said about it. And then there was a big whole thing about it, like, but they gave helpful tips to parents. So do's, okay, these are the do's. So these are helpful tips to parents, guys, out there. So make the first move and bring up the topic of alcohol and drugs with your kids. Don't wait until there's a problem before you decide to talk. Talk. Take time to listen to what young people have to say. Respect their views if you want the same in return. Discuss the risks associated with drinking alcohol and substance misuse. So let's see how to separate that there as well. Drinking alcohol and substance misuse, because alcohol isn't a substance now anymore. Alcohol's something separate, isn't it? Jesus, like. Discuss possible consequences of their actions and support them to make the right choices. Think about your own behaviours and the influence this can have on young people's behaviours. So these are the do's. And now here are the don'ts. Don't assume young people don't want to talk. Not talking to them could be interpreted as your approval of them drinking or taking drugs. Again, they're separating drink and drugs there. That's a bit kind of misleading there to the kids. Assume they already know everything. So yeah, it's saying don't assume they already know everything. But obviously don't lie to them as well. Like they're not saying this here. It says don't interrupt or be judgmental, even if you don't agree with their opinions. So that's all they're doing. They don't say don't lie to kids. They don't say don't in their do's, they're not saying do tell your kids of how to use drugs safely if they are going to use them anyway. Because sometimes, kids, young people will experiment. Curiosity, I won't use the saying, but like curiosity, it's a big thing for young people. And you know we need to educate them better. There's people out there. Alex Ryan is a local case. He sadly lost his life when he made the wrong choices around his drug use. And it wasn't that he chose to use drugs. It was that he chose to use the drugs in a way in which put him at risk. They weren't testing their drugs because they weren't educated on the importance of testing your drugs. They weren't educated on the dangers of all of these research chemicals and how to identify when the drug you have is not the drug you have. Again, going back to the drug testing, you know, if we had information, dudes like this out there, you know, instead of all the scaremongering, just say no to drugs, you know, and instead saying just no drugs, you know, just say no, you know, KNOW, know the dose, you know, know how to use them safely, know what not to mix them with, know when is it a time to call the paramedics, you know that it is safe to call the paramedics. It's don't worry about, there shouldn't be any worry of being punished because they're taking illegal drugs. Um, if they're worried about that, dispose of your drugs if you want to. But really, we should be offering an amnesty if we're going to continue with the criminalisation of drug users, whatever. By right, we should be actually offering an amnesty there for anybody who's with somebody who they think they might be experiencing an overdose, that they should be able to ring the authorities and say, hey, my friend here, I think he's having an overdose. And when the authorities come, give him the drugs, hand them over, have them tested, see what the potency was, see what the purity was, see if there was contaminants, anything else, and they're adulterating the drug. And like that would save that person's life. You could go up and you could find out that wasn't cocaine, that was something else, and we've an antidote for this. You know, that would save that person's life. Whereas under prohibition, sometimes what's going to happen is that person's going to run away and leave their body there having an OD, or they might dispose of their drugs, and they might lie even about the fact that they took drugs. They might say, oh, we were just drinking, somebody might have spiked my drink, which is a common theme as well there with young people, is I was out drinking and someone must have spiked my drink. They don't want to admit the fact that they were taking drugs because of the whole stigma that exists around it. Oh, so that's the real do's and don'ts that we should be really having honest conversations. And it says here, respect their views if you want the same in return. So don't lie to kids, respect them, have the respect to tell them the truth. Yes, drugs are dangerous, but people do use them in safe ways. There's safe ways in which you can consume drugs. And I hate saying drugs, you know, there are safe ways to consume different substances. um, so yeah, onwards we go, guys. And I'm glad I didn't have any more tears there. At least I was not more crying about any of that. Oh, jeez. So there was other news there in the UK, and what they found was a camouflaged cannabis factory in the most unlikeliest of places. I'm going to play this here for you, and again, I'm not, yeah, fingers crossed the audio works. I hope I'm not jinxing myself, but I'll play this here now for you guys, and give me 1 second. I just transition on over there. So what we have is basically it's a shack, and it was a cannabis factory, camouflage cannabis factory hiding thousands of pounds worth of plants discovered in a
We're in a
woodland
small
and
wooded
shag
area
in
just outside of
Northamptonshire.
Ecton Village. Members of the public have rung a job in, telling us there was a shed which they believed to have a cannabis factory within. We've then acted on that intelligence and come straight down here first thing in the morning and discovered this shed, which was a small grow of cannabis plants within. There's 13 plants in the shed. Plants are approximately worth £1,000 each, so it's approximately £13,000 worth of cannabis once it's mature in that shed at the moment. This is a very, very rural location, as you can see. Predominantly, cannabis factories are set up usually in town locations, in houses, whereas here at the moment we are completely in a secluded rural area. There's an electric cable which runs up the bank and all the way along to a substation type thing, which whoever has built this has tapped into it. That would have been working live, so that is very dangerous and dangerous to members of the public that were walking past it as well. So we have the proper agencies that will be coming to dismantle all that for us. This is a very bespoke setup here. The shed itself, as you can see, has been painted green, which disguises it in amongst the trees. It's quite a strong structure. It's well built and put together, but it's certainly very unusual to find something like this in such a wooded area and gone to such lengths of getting electricity supply. And it's not somewhere that we would normally be patrolling, and certainly it's a place where you would drive past and never know it was here because it is hidden down in amongst the tree lines in here. Community intelligence is invaluable to us. We urge members of the public to report anything they see suspicious. There's various different
Rats.
ways. There's 101, or you can report it online, or there's Crime Stoppers if
Don't
you
be
want
a
to
rat,
report it
guys.
anonymous.
Don't
So,
be a rat.
you know, we really are urging everybody that sees anything, any dog walkers, anybody that's out for a long walk, if you see something suspicious, then please report it to us and let us know about it so as we can investigate what's going on.
So there you have that interesting report. What an interesting find, to be fair. That they like in fairness, you see the setup there, and I hope you did see it. I hope that went out well there, Chi. But it was a very well set up grow house in the middle of a bloody forest. Like, so fair play to them. But it really goes to show the lengths that people are willing to go to just get to grow themselves a little bit of herb. Obviously that guy probably made a little bit of money on the side, but possibly that could have been a personal grower, a real diehard hobbyist. But fair play to him, like really well done. I love that. That was a really good one. But look, there is dangers there too. That the power supply that's there. That's something I talk about. The fact that cannabis being illegal, the prohibition, it makes people take risks, needless risks. Had cannabis been legal and this guy wanted to set that up, he could have got an electrician in, a proper qualified electrician, and set that up in a more safe way. It's possible that it was set up in a dangerous way because he didn't have any electrical experience, so he didn't know how to wire it up properly. But again, you know, prohibition, that's what's putting people at danger. You know, it's prohibition. And guys, remember, don't be a rat. You're not doing the community a service. So other news there, guys. There was €140,000 worth of cannabis seized there above in Dublin recently. And again, like when you look at this, there was two men in their 20s arrested because of this. This was above in Clondalk in County Dublin at about 5 o'clock there the other day. And again, because of the smell of cannabis, and upon searching the vehicle, the Gardaí seized €100,000 worth of cannabis herb. A follow-up search in the Ballyfermot area resulted in a seizure of a further 40,000 worth of cannabis and a small quantity of suspected cocaine. Gardaí say investigations are ongoing. A spokesperson said that they arrested the two men in relation to the seizure in their 20s, and that as a result, they're being detained and they're going to be brought to court now because of this and charged under Section 2. But two men in their 20s, like young fellas, like they're in their 20s, the whole life ahead of them, and now 140,000. That's a potential for 10 years. 10 years, guys. 10 years. There's people out there killing people, careless driving, and they're getting less. Suspended sentences for driving onto the other side of the road dangerously and causing the death of people, and they're getting suspended sentences for that, even though they were speeding, breaking the law, and they killed somebody as a result of breaking the law. Like, who was this person going to kill? Unless they took the 140,000 worth of cannabis and started beating somebody over the head with it, nobody was ever going to die from this. And our society deems it okay to try to lock these people up for 10 years. 10 years minimum mandatory for over €13,000 worth of cannabis, or any drug for that matter. And obviously I'm going to acknowledge the fact that it's rarely applied. It's very rarely applied, the mandatory 10-year sentences, because they couldn't keep them all locked up for that long. There's just too many people getting caught with drugs too often for them to be locking them all up for 10 years. Imagine how many people will be up in prison now if all these people getting caught with 20,000 and 30,000 worth were getting locked up for 10 years. It's stupid. They just need to scrap it and just do away with it. End the prohibition of cannabis and decriminalise the drug user. Start being more sensible and stop wrecking our fucking society. So stupid, like, because look what prohibition actually funds and causes in our society. Like, because cannabis doesn't make you a violent person. Cannabis doesn't make you want to get a gun. No, it doesn't. Like, if you smoke cannabis, there's nothing in cannabis that's going to make you think, oh, I want to go get a gun and I want to do violent things. No. But when cannabis is illegal and you want to be the big hard man, if you want to be the Tony Montana or the Pablo Escobar or whatever crime lords that these young fellas or these kind of misled people look up to, yeah, they want a gun because that helps them perpetuate their violence on the street. It helps them keep up this hard image of a guy not to be fucked with because he's a gun. And these guys are selling the drugs then as well. €100,000 worth of cannabis and cocaine in a raid in a Dublin house. Again, pile of waste of time by the guards. It's good that the guns are off the street and all that, but if our government, if our politicians just got their heads out of their arses, the Stephen Donnellys, the Frank Fians, the Helen McEntee, the three of those people, those guys need to get into a room and do something about the problem of drugs and drug dealing. And the only way they're going to deal with it is by legalizing and regulating the sale and supply of cannabis, decriminalizing the drug user, and coming up with some form of supply for the other drugs there, like I don't know, the other drugs anyway. I would say for cocaine, I think a good stepping stone for cocaine, rather than actually legalizing cocaine, would be maybe allowing people to have access to the coca leaf. Maybe that's one thing. It's been used traditionally by the people in the regions where it's grown, up high in the mountains there, and Peru and things like that. They chew on the coca leaves, that to help them work with and deal with the altitude, and to help them just go through the day. And they don't have any real problems there with it when it was used in that form. It was only when we intervened here in the West and we started extracting it, old Coca-Cola there, because they were the first peddlers of cocaine. Let's not forget that. And they didn't need guns then either when they had cocaine. So, like, there you go, guys. It's prohibition that brings the guns to our streets. It's not the drugs, it's the prohibition. So we could do away with the prohibition. We can have a good effort at doing away with the guns. They won't completely go away because you're always going to have the scumbags out there. Sadly, that's part of our society too. But there's going to be a lot less of them, and they're going to be a lot less powerful too because they don't have control of these massive bloody drug empires, And again, another one here, another case of where odor has led to a man being arrested. So €39,000 worth of cannabis that this man got caught with, and this was below in Castlemartyr, and the cops, like, I wonder, like, how they get away with saying that they smell cannabis. Now, I know it's easy to smell cannabis, guys. I know it is easy, like, but they've no certification for it. They've no training for it. The times are changing. You can now get like perfumes. You can get like air fresheners that smell like cannabis now. Um, they're just it's just the age old excuse of searching a person. Oh, I smell cannabis coming from you, so therefore I'm gonna search you. It's absolutely ridiculous. So the smell of cannabis from a man walking along the main street of Castlemartyr attracted the attention of Gardaí when they opened the suitcase. He was carrying, they found €33,750 in cash. That was a lot of cash he had. Detective Garda Michelle Quinn testified that €39,000 worth of drugs were seized at the man's home in a follow-up investigation. The accused man, 24 years old, Israel Matiki, has now been jailed for 4 years. And yeah, he got a 5-year sentence with 1 year suspended. I was going to read out his address there, but I'm choosing not to read out these people's addresses just because I think it's unfair that they have their addresses read out. Because I don't think that they should be criminalized, really. I think our politicians have a lot more blame in this matter than this man with the drugs, because it wouldn't be happening if drugs were, if cannabis was legal anyway in this case. More cash was found at the house then, another €2,150. He made a admission saying that he was mining the cannabis and the money for another party, but he would not disclose any details and indicated he was afraid of the other party. Yeah, and a very, very valid reason for not wanting to share the information with the cops and tell them where you got it or who it is, because sometimes these people that you get the drugs from, they can be violent or they can be scary anyway, like, you just don't really want to be crossing them. So apart from this incident, he was being a useful member of society, said Mr. Creed. The Judge Sean O'Donovan said, Judge Sean O'Donovan, he said that this is a case in which the guard outlined somewhat unusual circumstances. What's unusual? Smell of cannabis. Like, what's unusual? Like, stop discriminating against the man. Leave him alone. She found him pulling a bag through Castlemartyr. Maybe that was unusual, having a suitcase walking down the main street. All right, I'll leave him off in that one. And there was a smell of cannabis which brought our attention to him in the suitcase. Then there was a search of his house, and he accepted the money was the proceeds of crime. The man was well integrated in the society, doing a crime, of course, or doing a course, working and playing sport. He knowingly got involved in this. The judge imposed a 5 year jail sentence with the last year suspended. And that's just a joke. Like 4 years for cannabis, and he killed nobody. Like nobody's gonna die because of him and what he done. There's nobody gonna die ever. Like again, as I say, the only way he would have killed somebody with that cannabis is if he just rolled it up into a big hard roll and went out and tried to beat somebody over the head with it, because that's the only way that somebody could be killed with cannabis, is just through blunt force trauma, Pardon the pun. Wait, no, I think I have one, do I? No, no. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, guys, I want to get more friendly with that soundboard. But in other news, and the final piece of news today, guys, is this, and it ties into the odor of cannabis, because the man you see before here is Mr. Bronner, and if you don't know him, he's the owner of Bronner's Soap. So I don't know what is his first name. David Bronner, CEO of soap brand Dr. Bronner's. He was hopping on a flight there recently, going from California to Portland, because he was actually a big sponsor there for some of the ballots to see psilocybin mushrooms legalized for therapeutic uses. His company is absolutely amazing, guys. If you're a person who likes natural soaps and that kind of thing, check him out. Dr. Bronner's amazing. He gives away a third of his profits to a lot of activism causes out there, and to community projects and things like that. Like, he's a very, very good businessman. I really like how he operates his business. He also has a rule in his business where the lowest paid person will not get paid less than 5 times what the highest paid person is earning. So if the lowest paid person is earning 20,000, the top earning is only getting 100,000. I just thought that was a very nice rule for a company to adopt, so that it doesn't get too top heavy, where the person at the top is drawing 1 million and the person at the bottom is only getting 20,000. That's going to be the cases in places like Walmart and some of these other big chains out there. So a very good company, but a very good ethos. They use all natural ingredients. A lot of his stuff is kind of hemp based, and yeah, he has a new soap that smells like cannabis. So you can wash yourself in with a soap that smells like cannabis. So I don't know if it's something you'd want to do. Maybe not here in Ireland, have a shower and then going out driving your car afterwards with a stink of cannabis off you. It mightn't be the best thing to do. As he found out himself as well, actually, because when he was bringing the soap with him, he had some samples he was bringing with him on a flight when he was going from California to Portland, and he thought he was going to get stopped and searched because of the smell of soap coming out of his bag, but luckily he didn't get any issues there at all, and he got onto the plane fine. Because if you do want to get your hands on this cannabis smelling soap, there's only one of two ways to do it. One of them, you have to be in America, more even closer actually, you have to be in Oregon. So there's certain dispensaries in Oregon and California actually that sell Sun and Earth certified products. And if you buy $50 or more of those, you might be lucky enough if they have some of the soap left there in stock to give you a bar of it. Otherwise, you can go on to the Sun and Earth website. It's kind of a charity organization. So you can go on there, you can make a donation there to them of $25 or more, and you'll get that soap. But you can't buy it. There's nowhere you can actually buy the soap. He said it's not one that he's going to be continuing on his the range of soaps, because it's awkward to make, it's difficult to make, and he doesn't think there's going to be a very big market for it just because of the smell. But yeah, that's it for today's news. Yeah, that is it for today's news. I did have one other piece there for you, but I'm coming close to the hour mark there now, so I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'll save that last piece for Wednesday because it's not time sensitive at all. So that's it all, guys. I hope you enjoyed 420 news. It's been a pleasure as always to be presenting it to you, and as always, I'm gonna hop on over there to see what the crack is in the comments. Um, First comment at the top from Gerlene. She says, "Love the show. Thanks very much, Gerlene, for the support. Much appreciated. As I say, it's a pleasure to be able to deliver it to you. Lucky, I'm a lucky person." Um, Endo with anime with 50 billion chickens in the world, according to Snoop Dogg's search engine, Gazoozle. That's a crazy thought. 50 billion chickens. Jeez, we're outnumbered, really, isn't we? Aren't we? Jeez, isn't we? Jeez, getting down to the Snoop Dogg way, isn't we? Louise says, "Hey, what's going on out there, Louise? Hope you're doing good. The can card launched today at Northern Ireland, not confirmed yet, but sounds helpful. I'm applying and waiting for my card. Yeah, I'm hoping to hear positive things there coming from it. But as I say, I do feel like it is a slight form of discrimination there against cannabis patients that you're required to carry around this card to justify your need to have the medicine. Like no other medication requires that, so it is discrimination in my eyes. Um, it's a good thing, it's going to benefit people, so hopefully it's positive. Um, Notifications are shite. Intifications are shite. Intifications are shite. There, that's coming in from Sean. Sorry, man. I'm lost. I don't know what you mean. What's intifications? Christy says it shows how callous our politicians and government really are. How can they treat our most vulnerable like this? You can't even read an article of that poor girl without getting emotional. Yet these fools couldn't care less and feel no empathy, or feel no sympathy. Yeah, it's true, man. Like, if they felt even a shred of emotion there, I'd imagine Stephen Donnelly would have picked up that phone a long time ago because he wouldn't have been able to sleep at night. I know if I was in his position and I had that power and I was doing nothing about it, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I can barely sleep at night at the fact knowing there's people out there being criminalized for cannabis. That's why I'm here doing this. That helps put that at ease. I feel like I'm doing something to help just get that message out there to people and to try to change people's perspectives and see the end of this discrimination. Um, Make it medicine, Ron says, nice one. And Christy says, it's pronounced the north of Ireland, lad. Sorry, the north of Ireland. What was I saying? The north? Sorry. Apologies. Meant no offence. Scally says, best part of the day, the 420. Yeah, I always look forward to it myself as well. And yeah, the preparations can be a bit fun too, but yeah, sometimes you just go down wormholes on things. Paul says, nice people take drugs. Yeah, they certainly do, man. And that was a good message that came out from release.org, good organisation there in the UK. Then Paul says, some smokers here could check the weed and tell you what's in the THC. It has a purple colour when you burn it, smelling it. You can tell what's in it. Then Dave says, clever place, really well hidden. The rats are everywhere. Shame on them, says Patricia. Yeah, that there is rats everywhere. Loose lips, sing ships, and yeah, I'm just realizing, yeah, the clever place really well hidden there is the shack in the forest. Like, yeah, absolutely ingenious. Like, fair play to that dude. He must be some form of engineer or something. Anyway, definitely has a good head on his shoulders, and like he doesn't belong in a prison, that's for sure. He certainly could be useful in society if we didn't make him commit these criminal acts. um, Paul says here that there's also dangers of bank robbers, guns, and woods. Scally says Renticle couldn't get rid of the rats in Macroom. There's so many of them these days. Fucking rats. Oh, poor guys down in Macroom having a hard time. Jeez, sorry to hear that. Paul says there's not hundreds of thousands of blim for Christmas. Also, a lot of cops selling drugs and guns. A pile of cannabis with a Garda and a pile of cannabis with a Garda on top on fire. Love the soundboard, big move, nice one, Steve. And Wickerman style. That cannabis soap would be great for washing powder. Your clothes would be stinking. You'd be getting stopped and searched everywhere you go. And Teresa says, another great show. Thanks for that, Teresa, again, and a pleasure to have you there tuning in as always. It wouldn't be a show without the viewers, guys, and it's great to see the audience grow over time. And Connell's Moore says, who designed the logo? A fiver. I got a lady over in Bangladesh, I believe she was from. She designed it for me. Just gave her a description. I actually sent her a photo of me at Halloween in a costume, and she designed it into a kind of a cartoon image for me. Um, so yeah, if there's anybody out there who wants to get creative and donate a little bit of your time or whatever in terms of your creativity skills, like I'll be happy to have them showcased on the show in terms of like little nifty transition videos, whatever, guys. If you're out there, if you're anyway at all creative, I'm trying to learn about this stuff myself. I was watching some videos on dealing with the broadcasting thing here because I keep messing up my audio when I try to play a video of you, so I'm trying to figure this stuff out and still learning. But it's a lot of self-learning. I don't have a whole lot of guidance here. And also, Stephen is giving me a final reminder here, guys. On Wednesday, tune in to the Stop My PPMS talks. They're online. You'll find it at stopmyppms.com. He has the link in the comments, so go to the comments. You'll find it. Vera Toomey is going to be talking this Wednesday, guys. So check it out. And nice one, Conal there for the compliment on the logo as well. So, guys, that's it all for today. Absolute pleasure as always. I look forward to being back here Wednesday with you guys. All going well. I should be back with you Wednesday. I know there is an appointment there for myself Wednesday at 11. But I should be able to get back and deliver the 420 news on Wednesday. If not, I might postpone it until maybe 2 hours afterwards or something like that. But as always, guys, stay blazed, keep it lit, and peace.